Regular expressions allow you to create a pattern to determine if a given string matches that pattern that you created. Regular expressions, or they're often just referred to as regex or regex, are not exclusive to JavaScript. They've been around forever. They can be used in just about every programming language. And I absolutely hate talking about them because they make my head hurt. I've not committed the syntax of regular expressions to memory, and so pretty much creating a pattern to find something is hard for me. And I've developed a few little crutches through the years so that I can, approximate or fake my way through the usage of regex. And I suspect you'll probably find yourself doing that as well, unless you're one of those really annoying people that just commit to learning regex inside and out and then, can impress people at parties based on that knowledge. So, I try everything I can do to avoid memorizing it or learning the syntax. Usually if it's something simple like making sure that a string matches the pattern of a phone number, a zip code, something that's fairly common, especially with data in the United States, I can usually find a good example of what I'm looking for online using a search engine or Stack Overflow. But if it's something custom for the given project I'm working on, then I have to go and relearn just enough regex to get through that project, and then I try to purge it from my memory again. So I'm going to show you where to go, how to find the answers, and cobble together your own little regular expression. But I'm not going to pretend like you should go out and memorize any of this. I know people have done it, but I usually wind up hating those people because they're smug know-it-alls. But I digress. Let's just take a super simple regex example and use it in JavaScript. So I'm going to start by creating a new JavaScript file called regex.js. And here we're going to say, I'm going to create a simple variable called pattern. And you can create a regex pattern by beginning and ending with a /. So in this case, I'm just going to say, hey, search for this pattern where there are exactly these three characters, X, Y, and Z. All right. Super, super simple pattern. You would almost never use something this simple unless you were looking for specifically the letters X, Y, and Z inside of some long string that you want to search through, or a series of strings. All right. But there's my pattern. And so before we get started in earnest, let's just say, hey, what are you really? First of all, I want to print it out, and then I want to console.log, see if we're working with a new data type, or is this just a data type that we already know? So let's go node regex, and looks like just attempting to print it out will just be a string representation of the pattern. The type of the pattern is object. Okay, so it's a special built-in object to JavaScript. We'll talk about some of those global objects. This is just a shortcut to creating an instance of that global object for regex patterns. Okay, so here, let's continue on now and actually create some text that may or may not contain that pattern that we've defined. So let value equal, and we'll go, this is XYZ, a test. All right. And so what we can do is there's a couple of methods built into both strings and regular expressions that allow us to use regular expressions against a string, or use our pattern against this value, in this case, this variable called value. So we'll start with the console.log, and we'll use our pattern dot, and IntelliSense shows us there's actually quite a few interesting things that we could use. I'm going to keep this example simple and just say use the test method. And so IntelliSense tells us that This will return a Boolean value that indicates whether or not the pattern exists in a search string. So what I'm going to pass in is the string I want to search through. So in this case, value. And I would expect to get back a Boolean, a true or false, if we can find XYZ in that string. So let's save it. I'm going to comment out these guys. Now I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to get back here and go node regex. And it is true. We do find XYZ, our pattern, inside of this string. So I'm going to comment that out. The next thing that I might want to do is actually replace that pattern that we found in that string with some other string. That's pretty useful. And I do that sort of thing a lot in software development. And this time I'm going to start with the string itself, say value.replace. And so that string's replace method has the ability for me to give it a pattern. And then I also want to give it the value I want to replace. If I find that pattern, replace it with this string. And I'll just use the word just. All right, like so. This is just a test. So I've removed XYZ and I replaced it with the word just by using the replace method of the string, passing in the pattern and the word. Okay. There are a couple of other things. Those are the two that I find myself using most often. Here we can do something a little more interesting, I guess. Log value.match. And this match function will return back an object that it gives some information about what the string was, what the pattern was, if it was found, what the indexes in the string, like if you were to split it up into individual characters, at what point in the string would we find an instance of that pattern match. So here we're going to pass in the pattern itself. So I'll save that. And you can see it gives me back this array with the pattern we're searching for, the index where we can find it. So I think 0 is T, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the X, the beginning of that pattern, is found at the 9th character, index 8. Oh, I guess it would be 7th character. No, it's the 9th character, index 8, right? So at any rate, and then the original input was the entire string itself. So we can actually modify this, or actually grab that object out and work with it individually. So value.match and pattern. Now that I have that array that we saw down here, I can grab an individual part of it. So console.log. And here I might go match.index. So it just shows you how to get an individual part of it. So here I can grab the index itself, and I could use that to do some sort of custom replacement logic if I wanted to do that. I'm not sure I would ever want to do that. Okay, so now this comes to the part where I teach you how to cheat. And if you really want to cheat, you go out to your favorite search engine and you type in something like zip code regex, and then if you're lucky, Bing will pop it up to the top, whether it be from Stack Overflow or just gives you a nice little usage example right there in line. That's a little dangerous because you don't know if this particular example was voted up or down. You might want to go and actually search through the comments and see the one that gets the most upvotes and the selected answer and the one that doesn't cause any argument in the community. The other way is to go and kind of trudge through this yourself by looking at this page that, and there's plenty of references out there. I prefer the developer.mozilla.org website personally. I think their documentation is awesome, and here you can learn about the various special characters and regular expressions and try to cobble together your own regular expression to find what you're looking for. But that's all you're going to get out of me. That's all I can tell you about regex because I'm not a big fan of it. But at any rate, just to recap what we talked about in this video. You can create a regular expression literal with forward slashes. You can use the regex's test method, passing in a string to see if that pattern exists in that string. You can use the match method to find more details about the match. You can use the replace method of the string to replace a given match with some other string, like we did when we replaced XYZ with the word just. And then, like I just showed you here at the end, I showed you how to cheat. You already know this. Look online whenever you need regex, help. Okay, so let's continue on. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.